Is it really a cyberpunk scene without any neon signs in it? And what good are neon signs without any animation in them? So in this video, let's learn how to animate 3 types of neon signs and bring life to your cyberpunk scenes. First, select a cool font. If you don't have one, go to thefont.com and download a cool looking neon font. Preferably 100% free so that you don't get any flags, and extract it into a folder. Then open up a new Blender project and delete everything in the scene. Go to add, mesh and text and type any text that you want as your neon sign. Go to the text settings in your outliner and under font, click the folder button and go to the location where you just extracted your font and choose the folder. You can see that our font has been imported into the scene. Go to the shader editor, make a new material for your neon sign and give it an appropriate name. Then remove the principal BSDF, add an emission node and plug it into the surface of the material output. Next, go to the compositing tab, add a bloom node. Under viewport shading options, change the compositor to always. Now you have a nice bloom effect in your viewport. For a more realistic neon material, add a mix shader, mix 2 emission nodes with one slightly darker color. Add a Fresnel node and plug it into the factor of the mix shader, and then you can adjust the IOR value to get a realistic fall off effect. For even more realism, duplicate the text, convert it into a mesh and use Alt S to scale it up slightly in the edit mode. Now add a glass BSDF texture to it. You see that we have a nice neon material with a brighter core and a shiny glass surface on the outside. First, we're going to make a very basic blinking effect. Select your emission node and add a keyframe at 0 strength at 0 frames. Go ahead another 24 or 30 frames and add a keyframe at strength 3. Move forward the same number of frames and add another keyframe at 0 strength. Now open up the graph editor with your emission node selected. Click on the name of your material and the strength value. Now you can see the modifiers panel on the right. Choose the cycles modifier and increase the count. Now you can see that we have a nice blinking effect which repeats itself. If you don't want the sign to go completely dark, leave it as it is, or you can keyframe the second emission strength and add a cycles modifier on it as well. And now we have created a basic, simple blinking effect in just a few minutes. Rename these objects and move them to a different collection if you want. And now let's make the second effect. I'll just duplicate the first text that I have and go to edit mode to change the text. Type in any other random phrase for our second neon sign. Now go to the shading mode, duplicate the material and change the name if you want. Remove the keyframes you had set earlier on the emission nodes and set it to a constant value. Change the color of the emission nodes if you want for a different look. I also duplicated the text, converted into a mesh and scaled it up slightly to make the glass tubes like in the previous step. After clearing the previous keyframes, just set one single keyframe at a constant strength for both the emission nodes. Now open up the graph editor again. Click on your material and select the strength value. In the modifiers panel, choose noise modifier, increase the strength to an appropriate value. And now when you hit play, you can see that we have a nice flickering effect on our neon sign. So now our blinking and flickering effects are done. Let's duplicate the text in a similar way and make another sign for the third effect we are about to create. After creating the sign, you can duplicate the material and rename it. Clear the emission strength keyframes. I also changed the colors to distinguish better between the different effects. This third technique is something I learned from Ian Hubert. You all know the Blender legend. He used a flicker control texture to control the emission strength of his neon signs. So I made a similar texture which I'll be including in the description below. For this method, you need to convert the main neon sign into a mesh. Go to edit mode, UV unwrap it, standard cube projection will work, and go to the UV editing window. Make the sizes really small and line them up in a single file. Import the flicker texture as an image in the material editor and connect them to the emission strength. You can see how moving the UVs over different flicker patterns gives us some interesting effects. If you have node wrangler enabled, click Ctrl T on the image texture to give it a mapping node, and you can keyframe the Y value to move the flicker texture over your UVs. You can scale down your UVs and place them wherever you want. Pure white will make the neon glow and black will turn it off. You can experiment with the scale and rotation of the UVs as that will give us some different effects. Also, placing the UVs over the gradient texture will give us a dimming effect, which is not really true for neon signs, but it looks cool. You can either change the animation direction in the Y location for the mapping node, or move your UVs and rotate them to create different effects. Set some keyframes in the mapping node and then go to the graph editor, select that material and add the cyclist modifier to make the effect cyclic. If you feel this sign is not bright enough, add a brightness contrast node after the flicker texture. Increase the brightness or contrast according to the look that you want. Increasing the brightness will give you a brighter neon sign. And this is how you can make 3 types of animated neon signs for your cyberpunk scenes. Now let me show you how to randomize these signs in the next step. For the blinking effect, just duplicate the neon sign and change the position of the keyframes that you set for the emission node. You can bring them closer or further apart to change the speed of the blinking. For the flicker signs, just duplicate them and also duplicate the material. Then you can change the scale, strength or the offset in the noise modifier settings. For the flicker controller effect, just duplicate the neon sign, UV unwrap them and change the position of the UVs on your flicker control texture. You can also make quick and dirty neon signs by adding a plane and bringing in some images of neon signs from Google or Pinterest. You project them and place it on the specific ad that you want to include in your scene. The image is just plugged into the color of the emission node. For a new sign, just duplicate the plane and move the UVs over to another spot. You can add the blink or the flicker effect to these signs by just copying the method we used previously by keyframing the emission values. And this is how you can make different types of animated neon signs for your cyberpunk scenes. Follow and subscribe for more videos like this.